and welcome again. I'm back with the presidency from State House on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation (SLBC), where we go beyond just the ordinary daily news reports about the office of the president. My name is Hawa Musiri. In this week's edition, President Julius Maada inaugurates civil society organizations dialogue series. NASIT Director General discloses his achievements made so far since he took up office in 2018. South African High Commissioner to Sierra Leone resident in Accra, Ghana, Lulu Zingwani, has called on President Julius Maada to bid farewell after almost 5 years of tour of mission. The management of Mercury International presents a check of 500 million to President Julius Maada to support the construction of a multi-story classroom building for the St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School in Freetown. These and more lined up for you in this edition of the presidency. President Julius Maada inaugurates the government civil society organizations CSO's dialogue series and hope that the public engagement will help strengthen and consolidate the country's democratic value. He observed that for too long the conversation between government and the civil society was embittered, shrouded and mistrust, and believed that civil society could only do its job by critiquing the activities of government, creating the impression that those who didn't criticize government were complicit.
We want to use this platform to establish a more dynamic and multidimensional interaction to build collective responsibility to drive economic growth and transformation based on the interactive dialogue process that informs the decision-making of government. This is not a one-time engagement. This is not going to be one-off. It is a series of conversations on our development strategy that will not only be held in Freetown, but right across the country. This dialogue series is a reflection of a new leadership approach that I fully commit to. And to that end, I have charged the Honorable Vice President to facilitate this laudable process. And he's done a very good job so far. As already highlighted, the topics and themes of each dialogue will be determined jointly by government and the coalition of civil society organizations that have taken the mantle to build a more constructive platform to hold government accountable. In an age where information is being democratized through social media platforms and other outlets, we must also force government to adapt and innovate. So this is innovation. It has not been done elsewhere, but we know and believe that this relationship can bring about good governance. Government has to be, and under my stewardship, will be more responsive to the people it seeks to serve. Leadership must be seen and understand as a service to the people. And like any business, you want to hear from your customers, the people, on how effectively and efficiently they are being served. I've said that 2020 is a year of accelerated delivery, and I know many of you have diligently audited my government's performance over the 2.5 years. And I must assert here that my government wholeheartedly welcomes that scrutiny. Moreover, like any diligent student, I'm eager to have the opportunity to defend my government's dissertation. The achievements of the new directions since we came to power in 2018. It is my wish that the achievements that we be highlighted today will contribute to building confidence and trust in my government's stewardship, and we generate candid conversation about the areas that require improvement. The new direction delivery structure is predicated on the following principles: inclusivity, accountability, transparency, value for money, and evidence-based decision-making. This This is the prism through which our interventions are structured to ensure that the legacy left by this government can be enjoyed by many generations to come. However, the application of rigor in how government operates and our massive investment in social sector means that dividends will not be seen and felt many years from now. Transformation and sustainable change is long and difficult, but we will stay the course and ask that you trust the process. My government, in its manifesto to the people, has committed to transforming the economy, propelling human capital development, improving good governance, and developing infrastructure. Within these commitments, concrete interventions were identified, and while not all have been accomplished, we have made tremendous progress so far. It was these commitments that served as the basis for the national consultation to develop a medium-term national development strategy. As stated earlier, a core principle of our governance structure is evidence-based decision-making. To that end, just a few weeks ago, I asked my ministers to deliver their report cards on progress to date in the aforementioned commitment areas, which was captured in the midterm evaluation of the medium-term national development strategy. Our accomplishments are as follows. Commitment 1, transforming the economy. The first order of business when my administration came into power was to triage the economy, to identify what needed to be prioritized to bring the economy back from the brink. In the first year, we sought to reduce wastage by introducing fiscal prudence and aggressive domestic revenue mobilization. In 2018, my government fully implemented the Treasury single account to better monitor and track how government funds are being utilized in a bid to improve transparency. The integrated financial management system has now been rolled out to all MDAs. We have also been meticulous about giving free hand to Audit Sierra Leone to undertake both financial and performance audits, and we have been using the findings and recommendations to plug leakages in the system. Why these measures have been difficult to implement, given that there has been a perception that the fiscal space had been reduced, evidence shows quite the opposite. Revenue mobilization has increased to 3 trillion leones, which is about 14% of GDP. We are also seeing massive gains in revenue mobilization in the productive sectors. Revenue collected in the marine sector increased from 74 billion leones in 2017 to just over 100 billion leones in 2019. The gross external reserves have increased, and public debt management has significantly improved. I will note here that our stewardship of the economy has improved donor confidence in Sierra Leone. Furthermore, my government is actively improving Sierra Leone's investment profile by supporting indigenous small and medium-sized enterprises and attracting foreign direct investment into Sierra Leone. I have led several investment roadshows to engage with our diaspora and foreign partners on the investment opportunities in Sierra Leone. Based on the feedback from these engagements on the barriers to entry, Cabinet has approved the establishment of the National Investment Board that is chaired by myself and co-chaired by the Honorable Vice President. The National Investment Board will streamline the process of investors seeking to establish a business in Sierra Leone by facilitating their interaction with relevant licensing and regulatory bodies. Furthermore, it will demystify the investment space and reduce bureaucracy, red tape, and opportunities for bribery, which are major barriers to investment in Sierra Leone. Government is also taking additional steps to improve the regulatory environment in order to increase investor confidence in Sierra Leone. These efforts include the ongoing process to accede to the New York Convention on Arbitration and the passage of the Extractive Industry Revenues Act to minimize the risks and challenges in the extractive sector, to name a few. Other legislations related to tariffs and customs are being implemented to create an enabling environment for investment in Sierra Leone. I'm also extremely proud that even during COVID, we have been able to provide 50 billion leones worth of microcredit loans to local SMEs. My government is cognizant that to promote sustainable economic growth, private sector development must be the engine of that transformation. We also need to educate, train, equip and protect the workforce that will drive the economic transformation we seek. Commitment to propelling human capital development. In order to position our young people for the fourth industrial revolution, which is looming, my government is committed to propelling human capital development by increasing investments in the social sector and championing the empowerment of our women and girls in Sierra Leone. These efforts have been supported by the Directorate of Science, Technology and Innovation, which has delivered critical technology inputs and data to scale our interventions, especially in my government's flagship program. In the education sector, we have increased the budget on education to 22% in 2020. According to UNESCO, expenditure on primary education as a percentage of GDP jumped from less than 1% in 2017 to approximately 3% in 2019. Sierra Leone is among the top 10 highest investors in primary education in West Africa. Today, there are over 2.5 million children in school as a direct result of my free quality education program. We have also seen a rise in enrollment in primary and junior secondary by 29% and 43% respectively. We have also approved more schools and increased salary of teachers by 30%, as well as recruited additional 5,000 teachers. In an effort to keep children in school, this government has also invested significantly in school feeding programs. Over 350,000 children have benefited from that program. We are also upskilling teachers and revamping the curriculum to improve literacy and numeracy, indicators that the ministry is actively monitoring today. We have adult literacy centers in every chiefdom, including primary schools and JSS. In the health sector, government continues to increase expenditure on health. In 2020, 14% of national budget was allocated to health. From 2018, 2,500 health workers were recruited for national deployment. 48 health facilities were commissioned, and we are in the process of constructing a national cancer and radiotherapy center. In a bid to improve maternal mortality, maternal health care, over 500 ambulances have been distributed nationally to support obstetrics, emergencies, and other issues. Preliminary data shows that there has been an improvement in reduced maternal death rates from 2017 to 2020, from 1,165 to 716 per 1,000 births, respectively, according to the Multi-Cluster Indicator Survey and Demographic Health Survey. The data also evidences an improvement in under 5 mortality rate, which has been reduced from 186 in 2013 to 84 in 2019 per 1,000 live births. In order to reposition the Ministry of Health to deliver on health systems strengthening in the short, medium, and long term, I requested that a national review of the ministry is undertaken to overhaul the current governance structure. That we use the opportunity to underline my government's determination to build a bridge between our COVID-19 response and investment in healthcare delivery. We see the pandemic as an opportunity to focus on healthcare strengthening, an agenda that our partners and civil society must also support as part of our development strategy. I task all CSO present here today to genuinely participate in this dialogue series. And I want to assure you that government is serious about deepening this engagement. This is the next frontier in bringing governance closer to the people and to promote inclusivity in how government will steer the ship towards economic and social transformation. With these many words, I now formally launch the CSO Dialogue Series. And I thank you for your audience.
European Union EU Ambassador to Sierra Leone Tom Vance noted that he was delighted to join the President at the start of a national dialogue series, hoping that the day's event would translate into action. He praised the commitment made by President Julius Maada to enhance consultation and collaboration with civil society's organization in addressing the crisis engendered by the COVID-19 pandemic and other borders, governance and development issues.
Your Excellency, fostering economic development and strengthening peace and democratic rule is not only your priority, but has been the principal aim of the European Union from its outset 70 years ago. And as a community of like-minded states, and I admit sometimes not very like-minded states, the EU promotes the pursuit of peace and democracy both internally and in all its external actions, political and diplomatic relations with the rest of the world. There is no one democratic model that fits all. The model as such is not the point. The participation in decision-making is. The opportunity for the citizens to take and be part in the governing of society. The opportunity to voice opinions through channels that do not undermine stability and the very foundation and principles of the state. That is what matters. And this is where civil society can play an often underestimated role. I have no hesitation to state that strengthening the role of national civil society organizations in democratic processes and promoting social accountability models based on transparency and sustained trust-building dialogue between state and non-state institutions have always been at the core of the EU engagement with its partner countries. The prospect of a global economic recession and social instability has driven the EU to widen and intensify its efforts. And like many partners here in Sierra Leone, we have stepped up our efforts to address the challenges that come with the COVID pandemic. But we have also stepped up our efforts in engaging more with civil society in doing this. Your Excellency, we all agree enhanced public participation through active involvement of civil society organizations in public policy planning implementation and oversight can significantly accrue the benefits and potential for development, as well as peace and social cohesion. And this is even more so in the COVID-19 context, and for a number of reasons. Firstly, the speed and magnitude of the global crisis, with 1/3 of the global population under lockdown, means that we are entering uncharted territory. These have led to a new vision for action revolving around the concept of resilient societies based on the mutually reinforcing pillars of peace and democracy and enhanced social accountability through the active engagement of civil society. It became evident to what extent a vibrant and digitally enabled civil society can be a crucial asset for disseminating vital information and ensuring public accountability. In Sierra Leone, as elsewhere in the world, CSOs have proven critical in supporting the good implementation of COVID-19 support packages, facilitating outreach to potential vulnerable beneficiaries. Secondly, the amount of financial resources mobilized and the extraordinary measures adopted to respond to the crisis raise expectations, challenges and risks which call for heightened standards of transparency and accountability. Public accountability has always been critical, but now even more. Not just as an essential element of the social contract between state and society, but also in the broader framework of the partnership with the international community. Citizens' quests and expectations for effective and efficient implementation and tangible outcomes are high, with no space for politically motivated distortions or the pursuit of narrow personal interest by those with a say in the allocation of resources. The call for sound financial management, fiscal transparency and public accountability by development partners is also strong, and this is notably the case for those like us who are providing budgetary support. Esteemed representatives of civil society, the challenges and expectations are high, but so is the potential to make a meaningful contribution. It is our expectation that civil society organizations will continue to help tracking and monitoring the implementation of measures, ensuring they target and reach the most vulnerable segment of society, providing government and development partners the much needed input on possible corrective actions.
Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jude Jallow highlighted that the dialogue is born out of the belief of President Julius Maada that deepening the relationship between government and civil society is critical to promoting good governance and establishing robust accountability system. Following the meeting with civil society on Monday 20th this year, according to the Vice President, the President tasked him with the responsibility to develop a framework to constructively and sustainably engage civil society, as he was extremely excited to take on this challenge because as he has a very long history with the civil society organizations in Sierra Leone. Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jude Jallow expressed optimism that the engagement will also provide a unique opportunity to address some of the challenges that civil society organizations had faced in getting the requisite support to contribute meaningfully to the national discourse.
You will all agree with me with the move to a multi-party system, which marked the beginning of our nascent democratic experience in the 90s. We saw the expansion of the civic space, much of which was supported by our development partners. The increased engagement of civil society organizations during that period was the hallmark of the rapid growth of democracy in Sierra Leone. This expansion of the civic space in many ways informed a sense of hope in the transformation of Sierra Leone that will not only deliver economic development, but a country where the rule of law is sacrosanct. Civil society organizations have been integral to sustaining hope in the government's ability to improve the lives of its citizens. When necessary, they have vociferously criticized government and shaped public opinion in a way that impacts government decision-making. Today, we want to continue to empower them to actively play this role because it is important for growing our democracy and enhance an inclusive economic development strategy. However, in recent times, we are seeing the contraction of that civic space as it relates to issues of good governance in favor of programmatic support in other sectors that are not traditionally part of the good governance discourse. I therefore want to take this opportunity to appeal to our development partners to continue to support civil society organizations to play a key role in promoting good governance and accountability. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, government is playing its part by creating a platform for expanding the civic space, and this dialogue series no doubt constitutes an integral part of that expansion process. Therefore, this dialogue is born out of the belief of His Excellency's firm commitment that deepening the relationship between government and civil society is critical to promoting good governance and establishing robust accountability systems. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by reiterating that His Excellency's promise to the people of this country is a more pragmatic approach to governance that will heavily invest in sustainable outcomes that will be felt in the long term, such as a better educated youth, a healthy population that has access to affordable and quality care, and the growth of the productive sector to pull more people out of poverty. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is in that light that we see the symbiotic relationship between government and civil society as vital to achieving the long-term goal of His Excellency.
Speaking on behalf of all civil society organizations in Sierra Leone, John Coker of Famputok International expressed gratitude for the unique opportunity given to them by President Bio to involve in the dialogue session, adding that they would not take such a unique opportunity for granted. He urged his colleagues to engage constructively in ensuring that they make meaningful contributions that will help in the development of the country.
We want to assure you, we want to assure members of your government that this is a new page. Please leave the door open and let us make sure we continue this dialogue. As the Vice President has said, this conversation will not just end in Freetown, it will continue beyond Freetown. We'll make sure even the remote communities are part of this conversation. That is what we stand for as civil society. Let us bring the voices of those who are not able to be in Freetown to the doorsteps of the policymakers. We believe this engagement will contribute immensely to national cohesion. We believe this engagement will also lead to effective collaborative partnership on thematic areas. We are just starting today on this very important topic, COVID-19. It's a discussion for everyone, and we'll bring in our honest feedback to you. We expect this dialogue not to just be another talk show. We want to make sure, through the Office of the Vice President, that is serving as the intermediary, that we see results. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, we are able to review and reflect what we are able to contribute to Sierra Leone.
Viewers, President Julius Maada has said that his government's commitment to education is genuine, intentional and purposeful, and the belief of the intention and what the government and partners have undertaken is not going to be felt tomorrow or today, but knows that he has laid a solid foundation for the development of the nation. President Julius Maada made this statement when handing over a check of 500 million leones to the St. Joseph Convent Secondary School Old Girls Association, presented by Mercury International for the construction of a ground floor of a 4-story building. St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School is one of the oldest girls' schools in Sierra Leone that has produced outstanding women in the society. The Old Girls Association has been working hard to support the school in diverse ways, but this time around, they are focusing on how they can return to the one-shift system by constructing another building that will serve that purpose. The association brought this idea to the notice of the president and the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education last year, and now the process has begun with the support from Mercury International. President Julius Maada commended Mercury International for their commitment and support to the education sector as they are adhering to their corporate social responsibilities. The president told the gathering that the country cannot make progress without sound education and citizens should make no mistake about it, and that is why his government is very particular in making sure that examination malpractices are dealt with and taken out, as they want the pupils to have quality education, although it is going to take a while.
I want to encourage the citizens of this country that I'm only leading a process. The success of education depends on us all. From the homes, to the parents, to the communities, to the teachers, the proprietors, and everybody. There is beauty in education. And it's going to be even more imperative because I normally say this, the expertise that we have today, all of us seated here, is becoming obsolete very soon. Very, very soon. In the looming fourth industrial revolution, some of us, we have no place for our expertise if we do not upgrade immediately. As quickly as possible, teaching is going to be different. Learning is of course different now. So how do we upskill as quickly as possible? How do we prepare our children? That is at the heart of this whole human capital development. The best investment is in a human being. It is the best investment for our country. So for me, anytime I'm called to occasions of this nature, I'm heartened and happy and optimistic that people are catching up with what was a few years ago not a taboo but a far-fetched dream. When I said free quality education, they said, well, you must be the biggest dreamer in Sierra Leone. Today it's no longer a dream. It is happening, which means we should have big dreams as a small nation. Let's not think small anymore. We are lacking behind. And education will put us in a pole position for the fourth industrial revolution. It is already upon us. It is, if we have missed as a generation, for most of us who have had to struggle to do everything, we take so much time to learn. We finish education when we are 40. I don't know when we start our career. Let's give an opportunity to the kids who should start their education, their careers when they're in their 20s. We, as a generation, have to make a sacrifice. And that is what a lot of people are not ready to make. Waiting and not get 9, they begin forget. No, that is the truth. We have to make their own lives better. Otherwise, we'll become a nation that we suffer to eternity. So, as we witness occasions of this nature, and as I express my gratitude to Mercury International, I'm reminded of the fact that as a country, this is not the human capital development. It's not about just Maada, it's not about SLPP. It's really about us as a nation. Why were we known in West Africa and the world? Was it for diamonds? No, diamonds came much later, and we have not benefited from that. But so many of you, when you look at the ex-pupils, we are benefiting from the quality of education they had received. if they didn't have that sort of education, they will not be doing this sort of engaging in this sort of project. And as a country will be going down. But, they have said, no, we will not let our school go down. We won the competition between or among schools again on academic basis. How do we do this? We, the ministry alone or myself, we cannot do this. So let's go back to those days, those beautiful days when, Annie was, St. Joseph's, Gaz High School, FSSG, St. Edward's, Albert Academy, before I commit. And the both school. We'll be competing academically because that is where the future is. And of course, talking about technology and innovation, let's make our education meaningful to the kids. Let's not force them to do what we did in school. There is so much in the world, and we should bring that to their doorsteps. We should let them do critical thinking. Critical thinking can make you do quite a lot of things. And reading and writing from day one. Once you master that, you can do virtually anything in education with numeracy.
David Moini Nasenga is the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and he gave a brief background to the establishment and mandate of the Basic Education Commission.
Education Commission, which again His Excellency and his group, his friends in 1993, and the leadership then established the Basic Education Commission. And that Basic Education Commission is what led to the 6334 system that we still have today. The Commission's mandate was to ensure that every child had access to basic education. And the Commission is based at the Ministry in New England, and it was supposed to advance on making sure that literacy rates improve in this country. But we know where we are. And because that vision in 1993 was not met, when His Excellency became president, he decided that he must continue on that path by focusing on free quality school education again. And so as minister, when I picked up my portfolio, I knew I had to immediately revamp the Basic Education Commission. And in my first week, I was doing these tours at the ministry, and one of the places I had gone to visit, and I wrote about this, was the Commission's office, and there was staff watching Nigerian movies, and I called them out, and I told my team, and I publicly engaged on it. But when I spoke to them again, it wasn't because they were idiots, it wasn't because they didn't know what they were doing. They're all wonderful, intelligent staff, but they had been disempowered from working all of these years. The commission was not supported. The staff regionally in many parts of the country, they had no regional representation. They had no more than 2 staff. And in the southern region, for example, there's only 2 staff of the Basic Education Commission. And it's only within the last 2 years that we've begun to focus on basic education because of its mandate within the FQSC. So I challenged them, and I went back to the same people who were watching movies. And one day with my EA, we went there again, and the building was empty. And I took out my phone, and I was taking photos and checking on all the doors. And I knew that something had to be done. Like, it's crazy that many months later, these same people are not in the office, and it's 10 o'clock. And I will check every door. And luckily for me, before I sent this mean message, I checked one door, and they were all sitting in there. They were all working. They were all thinking. They had a meeting. So I said hello, and I joined them. And they were planning on placing students who had taken the NPSC. One of the things that the commission does is to place students into their school of choice. So I joined them, and we spent a lot of time thinking. And that unit today has become one of the most innovative and highly productive units in the ministry.
Chief Executive Officer Mercury International Martin Michael said that after consultation with the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, his organization decided that in fulfillment of the President's commitment to St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School, Mercury International will not only be constructing just one classroom, but also the construction of the entire ground floor. Martin Michael highlighted that Mercury International had also handed over a newly constructed JSS Secondary School for Girls in Potloko District a few weeks ago, and plans are underway for another construction of an early learning edifice at Moyamba Junction.
The turning of the sod a few weeks ago of this proposed multi-story complex to be built by the Ex-People's Association, I mentioned to the Ex-People's Association, and Your Excellency, they were quite keen to remind me too, that a promise, a commitment had been made to the school for at least one classroom to be built from the Mercury classroom funds. Your Excellency had also informed me about a year and a half ago about this commitment to St. Joseph's. After consultation with the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. David Senge, and of course a little push from Antikona, being an ex-pupil of St. Joseph's, we, that is, Mercury International and the Minister, have decided that in fulfillment of the President's promise to St. Joseph's, Mercury Classroom Project will not, in fact, be building or contributing to just one classroom, which would have amounted to around 160 million leones. But instead, Mercury will be paying for the construction of the entire ground floor of the new building, which will amount to 25% of the projected cost of the multi-story building. And with contingencies added, Mercury has the pleasure to announce that the total amount our chairman, Mr. Samir Hassanieh, and our majority shareholder, Max Brandwin, will be jointly handing over to His Excellency later on in this program is 500 million leones.
President of the St. Joseph's Convent Ex-People's Association, America King, disclosed that during their 150th year anniversary celebration, the ex-pupils had a vision for the school, which was to return the school to one shift with a maximum of 50 pupils per class. The vision, she said, is in line with the government's determination and the Gbamanja Commission white paper to reduce the double shift system by constructing classrooms by reducing overcrowding in schools. She commended President Julius Maada for his great initiative with regards to free quality education and Mercury International for the support towards the school.
Excellency, sir, the ex-pupils of St. Joseph's are solidly behind you on our free quality education drive, and we are committed to do all we can to support and move it forward so that our school will be the school in the drive to excellence. Like I said, special thanks to our dear First Lady, Madame Fatima Bio, who is one of us and has been one of the chief advocates in this matter. Many thanks to the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. David Senge, who, even though he could not make it to the launch, sent a heartwarming message that was read by me to the audience. We would be ungrateful not to express our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Martin Michael and the Mercury family, who has graced the launching ceremony. And today, in less than a month, we are here receiving that donation. We are truly humbled. History has been made again today that St. Joseph's Secondary School, Brookfield, has been singled out to receive support from His Excellency the President, his government, and the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education for the construction of this beautiful You can see it, 8 classroom multi-story building. It will not only house classrooms, but there will be a library and a state-of-the-art IT lab, which I am sure Mr. Minister would be excited to see in a girls' school. We have a state-of-the-art IT lab. We extend our actual thanks to you, sir, and we encourage all other ex-pupils to join government and take up this initiative, this challenge to rebuild their schools. Long live St. Joseph Secondary School. Long live the ex-pupils of this noble school worldwide. Long live the government and people of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Esto Fidelis.
More to come in the program. Well, in today's edition of the Presidency, I shall be talking to the Director General of the National Social Security and Insurance Trust, Nasir Mohammed Fuad Dabo, with regards his institution transformation since he took up office in 2018. The National Social Security and Insurance Trust is a statutory public trust charged with the responsibility of administering Sierra Leone's national pension scheme by the National Social Security and Insurance Trust Act No. 5 of 20th July 2001. The National Social Security and Insurance Trust was established to provide retirement and other benefits to meet the contingency needs of workers and their dependents and to provide other related matters. But with the appointment of Mohammed Fuad Dabo, a lot has been done in transforming NASIT, especially the increments of pensioner benefits.
In terms of delaying in payment of benefits, and that is the area where NASIT were found is so difficult in the past. Because of the system and processes that we have not been able to meet the deadlines or the turnaround time for payment of benefits. So what have we done so far? We have set up a department we call Project 54 Plus. We have named it Project 54 Plus. It is the responsibility of Project 54 Plus to look at the data of members that are between 54 years to 59 to 60. These are the people likely to retire, either early retirement by 55 and of course normal retirement at 60. So what do they do? They prepare those would-be retirees before the birth date. So by the time you get to 60, all your documentations are correct. And by the time you apply, less than 9 days, your benefit is paid. So that has improved tremendously the turnaround time for payment of benefit. And as I speak to you, as we sit today, Project 54 can tell you how many people are retiring in the police by tomorrow, how many people are retiring in the army by tomorrow, etc., etc. So we have approached the sectoral model in terms of dealing with those issues that have been confronting us, that has handicapped our process of benefit payment. In addition to that as well, I believe in developing, as the President always says, the human capital development. We have spent a lot of money training our people, retraining, refreshing them so that they understand what they do, and of course, we meet the expectations of people. In addition to also that is that in 2017, NASIT commenced the procurement of our operating system. You know, a lot of things is happening. Most of our processes and procedures are on the platforms. But that was aborted. So with the new government of His Excellency, management and board appealed to President for us to lift the ban on the procurement of our IT systems. That is what we call the NAPOS system. It is a platform that we operate from. And that procurement process is far underway. And what do we expect to achieve with that procurement process is, by the time we get our system commissioned, most of these issues that people are complaining around will not be things of the past. And in terms of the level of pensions that we pay, as somebody mentioned just now, it will surprise you to note that there were times in this country where people that have worked their life for this country, people that have sacrificed all their lives, their energy, and they are now retired. There were times in this country when those people were receiving meager sums like 20,000 leones per month, 30,000 leones per month, as the case may be. But with the ascendancy of His Excellency, the President, Brigadier Retired Julius Maada, he instructed that never again a government pensioner will receive less than 250,000 euros. And as of today, we've continued to pay that amount to our pensioners. And I want to tell you that they're happy. They're extremely happy. And it says that most people are not getting confidence in the scheme. We have also done a lot of other issues regarding how do we synthesize our membership. The Act provides for a medical board. Medical board, this is a board that looks at the situations, the medical situation of membership. People that are invalid, and they have to do the assessment of those people. Sometimes we travel all around this country locating those people for them to be reassessed. And that has gone out tremendously well for us. And those people, our proposal is nobody should be left behind in terms of looking after it once you are a member of NACIT.
Okay, so take us through the scheme and the operating system. How do you actually go about to do it, in terms of reaching out to people, for people to know that this is what NACIT has done, or this is our new operation that we've started, like you talking about the +4 project that you have been embarking on?
Let me go back again to Project 54. Project 54 actually is identifying those individuals within that bracket from 54 years to 59 to 60. These are the people, as I mentioned, that are possible retirees. You either retire at early retirement or normal retirement at 60 years. What has been happening in the past? People will wait until they are 60 or 59, 60 before they could apply. And when they apply for their benefit, it takes a while for us to get them.
How many months, weeks?
Well, it depends on the documentations because it's two-way street.
So is it advisable if you're, let me say, I'm 55 or 59 years to apply immediately before reaching the age 60?
No, you have to clock the age 60 to apply.
Okay.
Okay, or you apply 54 for early retirement at 55.
Okay.
Right, you have the options to do. But what Project 54 Plus will now do, they start to track all those within that bracket. Start checking for your documentations, updating your data, your about data, your financial data. Sometimes, in fact, you have gaps in contributions, and these gaps in contributions are mainly from their employers. So Project 54 goes through all of that, validation of past services, etc. So when all of those things are set, by the time the individual gets to 60 and applies for his benefits, it is a smooth ride. So that's the reason why we have cut down tremendously on the turnaround time for payment of benefit. Also, we have decided to expand our presence in the country. We are currently located at Kenema for the East region, Makeni for the North, Bo for the South, Western area for the West. And with the establishment of Northwest, we have also established a branch at Northwest. But that is a rented premise. What we intend to do, which are far going into that business now, to open a custom-built regional office in Port Loko, and that will commence soon.
And what will be your message or advice to citizens in terms of your institution? Those who are in the habit of boycotting, especially employees, employers, who are in the habit, in terms of boycotting payments for their employees. What will be your message to them?
My message is simple. With the establishment of the Special Courts for Social Security by the judiciary, my message to employers is very simple. I want to encourage them to continue paying for their members, and not only paying the contributions, accompany the contributions with schedules, with contribution schedules. Allow our inspectors to inspect your premises, register your employees as and when you recruit, and also to the membership, please update your records when your circumstances change, because by only updating your record, it will help us in the future when the contingency will call for us to process your benefits.
A delegation from France, including a member of parliament, Majid El Garad, has paid a courtesy call on President Julius Maada here at State House. The call on the president, according to him, is to strengthen the bilateral ties between Paris and Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone and Paris have enjoyed bilateral relationships for ages, and the two countries now want that relationship to be further strengthened. Speaker of Parliament, Dr. Abbas Mundo, updating President Julius Maada about the visit of El Grad, said it emanated from President Bio's visit last year to France. He noted that the visit is also to re-establish and reaffirm commitments between the two countries. He said they had also had discussion with the delegation with regards concretizing their relationship to be able to lay a concrete foundation and also sign an MOU in furtherance to that relationship. The reason why El Grad is in Sierra Leone is to create the strong tie between the two countries, according to him, adding that his engagement with the parliamentarians was fruitful, as they will also sign a memorandum of understanding between Sierra Leone Parliament and that of France. The MOU, he stated, will provide a lot of opportunities for parliamentarians of Sierra Leone, including capacity building projects as well. Majid El Grad said his government has already opened an embassy in Conakry, Guinea.
I come here because it's my constituency, and Sierra Leone is in my constituency. So it's very natural for me to be here, because I have ever gone to a lot of countries in my constituency, not in Sierra Leone. So it's the first time for me to visit the country. So when I met the president last year, I promised him to come. So I have done what I promised. I am MP, and I come to see my colleague first, and to enforce the relationship between us. So there was a few months ago we create the group of friendship of Sierra Leone and France in France, and I come here to act the group of France Sierra Leone in Sierra Leone. So we are going to have a lot of link, a lot of relation, and we are going to work to develop this relationship.
Okay, and again, the president spoke of, strengthening bilateral relationships between the two countries, France and Sierra Leone. And your visit being here, what impact would it create, to strengthen this relationship between the two countries?
I think there is a lot of fields that we can talk about. We can talk about the new page that the President Macron and the President Bio want to open in this relationship. And last year, when the President Bio has come to France, he acted with President Macron that the new dynamic between Sierra Leone and France is going to be realized, and my trip here, I think, is a kind of way, a stone in this new relationship, and I'm sure that now we are going to have members of French government who are going to come, and I'm sure that this relationship with the enterprises, French enterprises in France, is going to be developed, and the France is going to help the Sierra Leone to develop the country, to develop the human capacity, and I'm sure this new page, which Macron and the President Bio wanted is going to be concretized and realistic now with a lot of projects for people and for the French people and for the Sierra Leone people. It's one of the stones in this new relation. We opened 1 month ago a new diplomatic office in Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone is going to open a new embassy in Paris. So we have a lot of projects, we have a lot of institutional, of cultural projects, and of private projects.
President Julius Maada commended Majid El Gourat for the visit. He said Sierra Leone and France have a long-standing relationship, as there is a lot to learn from France and Sierra Leone as well. With a meeting with parliamentarians, he's quite sure that more will be done in concretizing the bilateral relationships again, calling on the French government to establish an office in Sierra Leone as well. His government, according to President Julius Maada, is making frantic efforts to re-establish an embassy in Paris.
Thinking about the extent and level of cooperation we want to have, we very much be happy to have a full diplomatic mission there with the French ambassador resident in Sierra Leone, Freetown, because of what the level we want to take this relationship. We are two great friends that went apart because of history, because of different circumstances in the world. And we want to rekindle this relationship at a very high level again. So in as much as we are pleased that we have a chargé, we also want to be able to have in Sierra Leone Freetown. Of course, you have been informed that we are making frantic efforts to re-establish our embassy in France, and this is all meant to really strengthen our relationship. So we are very happy to have you here. We hope that you will find Sierra Leone as pleasant as the many French tourists who used to come.
The South African High Commissioner to Sierra Leone resident in Accra, Ghana, Lulu Zingwana, has called on President Julius Maada here at State House to bid farewell after almost 5 years of tour of mission. She thanked the President and the people of Sierra Leone for the privilege and opportunity to serve as High Commissioner, noting that she enjoyed every bit of her tours in Sierra Leone. Since she presented her letter of credence in December 2015, she led a number of missions to Freetown for economic and diplomatic consultations. These missions sought to establish and increase economic cooperation, especially in the field of health, energy, mining, road construction, rail harbour, aviation, IT, agriculture, and tourism, she noted. She confirmed that South Africa has accepted for Sierra Leone to open a mission in Victoria and that they would also open a mission in Freetown. She added that the visa waiver for diplomatic and service passport holders was in advanced stage of completion. In his response, President Julius Maada thanked the High Commissioner for her service and diligent work during her tenure, while sending fraternal greetings and appreciation to the President of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa.
Very closely with the Republic of South Africa to deepen this relationship and our mutual benefits. There is quite a lot to learn from South Africa, and when I went for the Ndaba, I learned quite a lot. And in fact, had it not been for the COVID, we are expecting some visits actually with a lot of groups that we wanted to learn from, especially in the extractive sector. Quite a lot has been done there, and we need to learn from you. South Africa is the chair, and we are looking forward to leadership from South Africa in terms of how Africa moves for the next 1 year. We have enjoyed the relationship, And of course, there are so many things that we should be grateful to the Republic of South Africa for. The support during Ebola, the support during the floods, and many other things that have been done.
Well, viewers, that's all we have to bring you in this edition of the Presidency. Thanks for your company, and I'm glad you could join me. My name is Hawa Mostire, and I'll be back next week from State House with more about the work of the President and his lieutenants in the new direction administration. Make sure you continue to adhere to all precautionary measures of COVID-19.